Hi, everyone. Good Thursday afternoon, and welcome to the Rhode Island State House for GoLocal Live. I'm GoLocal News Editor Kate Nagel. Thanks for joining us as we welcome our first guest on, Representative Greg Amore. Thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Kate. Appreciate it.
I appreciate your coming back. You've been under the lights here before to talk about all things political, and you have a bill that you are introducing that I wanted to talk with viewers about. You're in education. You know young people. This would be a bill that would allow 17-year-olds to be able to vote in primaries. Now, talk with us a little bit about this, what could possibly be viewed as early voting, if you will, but
Sure.
Why 17-year-olds and why primaries?
So it's not all 17-year-olds, right? 17-year-olds who will be eligible to vote in the general election. So this cohort is basically kids who have birthdays from August to November.
Okay.
And they're going to be involved in the general election process anyway. And so we thought that it was a good idea to have them involved in choosing the people who are going to be on the ballot in the general election. It's a small cohort of people, but 22 states do it, including red and blue states alike. And it seems to be a common sense way to get somebody involved in the process and not put up a barrier to their entire electoral process.
You make an interesting point that, of course, if they didn't vote in the primary, then they're choosing candidates that they didn't have a say in. What have your colleagues been saying about this proposal when you're talking about it with them?
It was presented yesterday in committee, and it was well received. It was well received last year. I think people have to get by the 17-year-old thing, and then once they get by the 17-year-old thing, they say, okay, that makes sense. You know, the 26th Amendment allowed for the vote for 18-year-olds based on their military service. So I see every day in the high school at East Providence, the kids enlist at 17, and then when they become 18 and graduate, they serve. This is very similar to that, and I think it's just a good way to get active and engage kids involved.
Okay, so again, if you're 17 and eligible to vote in the general election,
Correct.
This was a piece of legislation that we'll continue to keep an eye on moving forward. Well, we have you here before we welcome our next legislator. Anything else you want to bring to viewers' attention while we have you here on live?
Sure. We're trying to figure out the transportation situation and education. We've got a federal requirement that has us shipping students who are in state care all over the place, and the districts are really being hurt by that cost.
Okay.
So we're trying to figure out how to mitigate the cost of the districts, have the state share some of that, and try to get things in place so that we don't break the education budgets for the districts.
Okay, keeping an eye on education for students, and again, allowing 17-year-olds who would be eligible to vote in the November election to be able to vote in the
Correct.
primaries.
Correct.
We'll provide a link to that bill language, and we'll continue to follow it here on GoLocal Live, but wanted to have you bring it right to the viewers.
Thanks,
here. Representative
Thank you.
Amore, don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back with our next guest here at the Rhode Island State House.